So Logan Paul's third Pokemon video hit online, and it hit over 6 million views. For some reason, you guys seem to really like Pokemon, but I also think it's because of the story. How as a viewer, you're on the same journey and excitement Logan was on his quest. So that's what we're going to talk about. Me being the editor of this video, I want to give you an editing breakdown of some of the creative choices that I had made. Keep in mind though, since this is YouTube, I am going to have to keep a lot of my information really brief. You know, I have to be informative and entertaining at the same time. The reason why I mention this is that a few weeks ago, I did a frame-by-frame live editing breakdown on this video, and we were there for 4 hours. But this is YouTube. It's 10 minutes, I hope this video is. However though, if you are interested in some of these 2 to 3 to 4 hour live frame-by-frame breakdowns, I will be doing more of them, including a breakdown of the Slap documentary. Oh, that clip's never gonna get old, is it? When you wanna know when that happens, subscribe to my newsletter. The link is in the description down below. All right, no more faffing around. Let's get into the breakdown.
In my opinion, parents should not let their kids watch Pokemon, play Pokemon, buy Pokemon cards, have anything whatsoever to do with Pokemon, because the message is violence.
Okay, hold on 1 second, Carol. You are not gonna like this video.
I say this a lot. It's really important that the first thing you do in a video is reassure the viewer that they've made the right decision. So by showing you a really old clip of some Karen who thinks that Pokemon is dangerous is hilarious and relatable. And even more so, I showed how much this clip had aged by placing it in an old VHS type stock footage. Okay, great. So we've now got your attention. The most important thing here is, well, to keep it. We need to bring you into Logan's story. And so this whole entire sequence that I'm about to show you is kind of like a previously on type of sequence that you see on television.
Last October, I sat down for what I expected to be a mildly popular stream of a Pokemon nerd breaking open a $200,000 box of first edition cards.
Wait. Because of those 3 relatively fast cuts, it then makes you then focus on when I don't cut, which you know I love doing. So cutting faster makes the slow cut stand out because we want you to focus on this moment specifically. But then this break then gives permission to really elevate the pacing.
For the next 3 hours, 300,000 people watched a grown-ass man open shiny cardboard in his garage.
What's also interesting here is, again, I kind of need to show this information, but I created this kinetic energy and I don't want to break that. So with me just doing this slight zooming in helps keep up that pacing and kinetic energy. Something's always constantly happening.
We raised $130,000 for mental illness, and Pokemon proved yet again why it's the highest grossing media franchise in the world. I went to sleep that night with only one thought on my mind. I have to do that again.
Now this brings back what I've talked about before, the Kuleshov effect, where the editing brings meaning between the interaction of 2 shots. The story told with those cuts is that we see him sleeping, then we get a peek into his mind as to what he is dreaming, and that's what gives him the epiphany to wanting to do that again. And that's even more emphasized with the aggressive framing by the motion tracking. The camera moves with his facial movement to really make us focus in on his, well, storytelling epiphany.
Logan, I actually watched most of it.
Do you hear that? There's something special happening. And while you can't admit it, Pokemon is fucking huge. Logan for president!
In one of the ways that I actually did make this seem a bit more seamless, there was this one awkward long moment that, well, it's easier if I just show you.
Pokemon is fucking huge. I knew this. Logan for president!
David, the videographer, pans through Evan twice, but how I actually increased the pacing was I used the fact that he panned, I hid a cut during that pan. Those are 2 different moments, but I used the pan to hide the cut to make this sequence seem a bit more organic. By the way, a lot of shows do that too. You're never gonna be able to unsee it. So one of the ways that I had to get you to develop an emotional connection with these booster boxes is by the fact that I starved you with cuts.
It seemed so obvious. These first edition booster boxes are the rarest, most valuable, high-demand, low-supply item in the collecting world. There's 36 packs inside, and if you pull a Charizard like we did on my stream, it's worth $350,000. These boxes are holy grails.
We cut to the booster box, but then we then fade in, so there's no cut there. We then cross-fade to this. Again, no cut there. Cross-fade again. And while doing this, Logan is giving to you in voiceover why these boxes are so desirable. As he's then fully contextualized how important these boxes are.
It's worth $350,000.
Bang. We then cut to the box. You get starved for a cut, and then once you have that context, we then finally give you the cut that you've been craving for. It's a relief, it's satisfying when you then see the full reveal of that box. Now, this next sequence brings back one of the big issues with filming versus the choices where you got to make in editing.
I have a guy, he's being a pain in the ass. He wants $375 all cash. I got a guy that's offering to buy 2 of them right now for $750K.
It's a little expensive, man.
Yeah.
This motherfucker tells me to tell you that the first box, $440,000.
Fuck!
This sequence is a really, really short sequence. In an earlier draft of this video, this was actually the biggest chunk of the entire story. Logan, for over a 2-week period, was just doing phone calls every single day trying to find these boxes. I had, and I'm not kidding you, over 6.5 hours of footage of Logan on phone calls. Logan, this is a direct message to you. Please don't ever give me footage this boring ever again. It was long, it was tedious, and actually made me creatively broken in making a lot of bad decisions. The first draft that I did of this scene was almost 2 minutes because we felt naturally you need to experience the same feeling that we had going through this footage. That's not interesting. The magic of editing is, well, we just need to just give you the idea, the concept, the feeling of how long and tedious this process was, and then you guys get the benefit of getting out of it as quickly as possible. It's your responsibility as an editor and storyteller to highlight and emphasize what that experience was. And by the way, if you actually are interested, on my Twitter and on my Instagram, I have uploaded the entire segment. If you're able to watch all of it without being bored, I'll buy you an In-N-Out, providing you're in California. Even though they actually are pretty mediocre burgers.
He cracked it open to confirm that all the packs inside were legit.
So this is 1,000% real.
That's a really, really important moment there. These boxes are a character. And so I found a moment where Logan set up a motivated cut.
So this is 1,000% real.
And with that line cutting to the close-up of the box and also motivating for the music to change as well.
So this is 1,000% real.
This change tells you to focus on this shot specifically. Now, one of the things that we did do very, very late in the edit was this scaling money idea.
It's a lot of money for a little box of cardboard.
Now, what this actually does is this gives you something to look forward to and also a better concept to how much money he is spending. But what's actually more interesting was the sound design to how I did this. For example, how I did clickety-clack sounds was actually a sound effect of a clock. But I didn't sped it up 400%, and so, well, it plays even faster. Since we are also talking about money, I also thought about the common image of money being that type of sound effect. And then, of course, I then wanted to get the peak, the reveal of the number with a bell type sound effect. This bell type sound effect also represents cash registers. All of these sounds have some sort of relationship with money, and so therefore it helps sell the idea of, well, money.
How much did I pay for this?
$325.
We didn't get the money escalation sound effect again, some more of those visual images. We can get through these a lot more quicker.
With $1.3 million in the hole.
Those same sound effects, again, the escalation of those numbers. It was important that all of those were consistent, so therefore when I do a change, it's emphasized and highlighted. So when it's here, when he buys the 2 final boxes that he needs,
2 boxes, $675, it's done.
Yeah, let's do it.
we then get that new layer of sound where it hits the $2 million mark. Again, I've kept all the same sound effects. But then on top of that, for the first time, when we hit that $2 million mark, we then get these really deep, emphasized drums. Really hitting home the mark of the sheer amount of money that he has spent buying Pokemon cards. And then while on this travel montage, I then do another Cooler Shop type effect where we then have him thinking about how excited his boxes are. We really are inside the head of Logan's excitement.
Yeah, how much money am I holding in my hand?
So you're holding $750,000 right there.
This is also one of my favorite little cheeky moments that I did. I really wanted to emphasize that shock, that moment where Logan contemplates how much money that is. But the footage didn't actually give me that. In the original footage, we hear them still having a conversation during this moment.
I mean, I guess if you really just look at them, they're just 2 boxes of cards.
I wanted a moment of pure silence, moment of contemplation of what is going on. So I completely removed that moment of him asking that question and just let the music tell that moment of Logan's contemplation.
$750,000 right there.
And then, of course, we then get these beautiful shots of the booster boxes. I wanted to make that as epic as possible. So, of course, going in with these really, really aggressive, revealing sound effects. Totally obnoxious, but they do work. These shots would not feel as epic without those sound effects. It feels kind of naked. It's kind of awkward. But then also, while on top of that is this smoke, it was important for me to make these shots as epic as possible. And so you can add in the aggressive color grading, but then making these boxes feel a bit more mythical. And that pretty much just wraps up the video. The rest of the video is just him selling, hey, come check out the live stream. We don't need to bother with that. But that is literally a quick rundown of the choices that I made in editing this video. Reminder, I do 3 to 4 hour live streams, really going into in-depth detail of the creative choices that I made. If you want to know when those happen, subscribe to my newsletter or follow me on social media. Tickets for those live streams are limited, so do keep an eye out and be there first. Bottom line, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.